These are 7 places on Earth that Google Maps has deliberately hidden from your view, and the reasons behind their censorship reveal far more than the blurring ever conceals. Google Maps has photographed virtually every corner of the planet. Its satellites and street view cars have mapped billions of miles of roadway, captured the facades of hundreds of millions of buildings, and rendered the Earth in stunning, scrollable detail. But not everywhere. Scattered across the globe are locations where the imagery suddenly degrades, where crisp resolution gives way to smudged pixels, colored polygons, or suspiciously outdated photographs. Some of these places hold nuclear weapons. Others hold secrets that governments would prefer you never think about at all. And here's the thing, Google doesn't advertise. The company claims it doesn't voluntarily blur satellite imagery. Its own support pages state plainly that if a location is obscured, it's because authorities or data providers demanded it. The images arrive pre-censored, which means every single blurred location on Google Maps is essentially a government pointing at a spot on the map and saying, "Don't look here." The irony, of course, is that blurring something on a map that is otherwise crystal clear is the digital equivalent of putting a giant neon sign over it. Matt Corder, an analyst at the Federation of American Scientists, put it perfectly. By complying with requests to selectively obscure military facilities, the mapping service has actually revealed their precise locations, perimeters, and potential function to anyone curious enough to find them all. With that in mind, let's start with number 7. Ramstein Air Base in Germany is the largest NATO airbase outside the United States. It serves as the central hub for US air forces in Europe and Africa, playing a critical role in drone operations, intelligence gathering, and military logistics across multiple continents. When you pull up its coordinates on Google Maps, significant portions of the base appear blurred or rendered in conspicuously low resolution, particularly the most operationally sensitive areas. The surrounding German countryside is sharp and detailed. The base itself looks like someone smeared Vaseline on the lens. It's one of the most straightforward examples of military censorship on the platform, and it's hiding in plain sight in the middle of Western Europe. Number 6 takes us to the frozen continent. Antarctica is one of the most censored regions on Google Earth, and the scale of that censorship is remarkable. Several large areas are completely blurred out, including one stretch that spans over 23 kilometers. That's 14 miles of continent that someone decided you shouldn't see. Conspiracy theorists have had a field day with this, claiming Antarctica hides everything from secret Nazi bases to ancient pyramids to entrances to a hollow Earth. The reality is less cinematic, but still interesting. The official explanations involve extreme shooting conditions, the constant movement of glaciers making static imagery unreliable, and the simple fact that there's almost no commercial interest in high-resolution maps of featureless ice. But those explanations don't quite account for why specific areas are blurred while others aren't. The ice looks the same everywhere. The blurring does not. Number 5 is a facility that has generated more conspiracy theories per square foot than perhaps any other location in America, and it's not Area 51. The HAARP facility in Gakona, Alaska, the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, is better known for what people think it does than what it actually does. Its real purpose is studying the ionosphere to improve radio communications and navigation systems, but for years, conspiracy theorists have blamed HAARP for causing floods, earthquakes, and weather manipulation on a global scale. The facility was once partially obscured on Google Earth, with large defects in the satellite data covering portions of the site until 2013. That historical blurring only poured fuel on the conspiracy fire. Today, HAARP is operated by the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and they even host open houses. The scientists involved in ionospheric research reject the weapon theories as completely unfounded, but the years of visual obscurity on Google Maps did more damage to public trust than any amount of transparency has been able to undo. Number 4 is a country-sized blank spot. North Korea on Google Maps looks like a place that time forgot. The only visible details are the names of cities and mountains. Roads appear nameless. Towns and villages are blurred or simply absent. It looks foggy, unlabeled, and empty. But this isn't active censorship in the traditional sense. Google simply has no high-resolution data for North Korea. The country is so closed off that there's almost nothing to work with. In January 2013, Google unveiled a more detailed map of North Korea, assembled not by professional cartographers, but by a community of citizen volunteers using Google Mapmaker to add road names and points of interest. This came just weeks after Google's chairman, Eric Schmidt, visited the country and urged its leaders to embrace the internet. His daughter Sophie described North Korea's web system as a walled garden of scrubbed content taken from the real internet. Over 26,000 North Korean citizens have escaped the country since the Korean War. The blank map is, in many ways, a reflection of the blank wall the regime presents to the outside world. Number 3 brings us to the south of France and the Marcoule nuclear site. This enormous 300-hectare facility along the Rhône River has been central to France's nuclear program since 1955, used for both civilian nuclear fuel reprocessing and, during the Cold War, weapons-grade plutonium production. On September 12, 2011, an explosion at the site killed 1 person and injured 4 others. The site's operator, EDF, insisted it was an industrial accident, not a nuclear accident. On Google Maps, the facility is heavily obscured. You can see its massive footprint along the river. You can gauge its sheer scale, but the specifics, individual buildings, machinery, internal structures, are all smeared into unreadable pixels. France takes a strict approach to imagery of its nuclear infrastructure, and Marcoule is a prime example. Number 2 is arguably the most famous secret in the world. Area 51 in the Nevada desert isn't entirely blurred, which makes it more interesting, not less. Google has gradually improved the resolution of some areas over the years, but specific sections, certain runway areas, perimeter zones, and suspected underground facility entrances remain notably pixelated compared to the surrounding desert terrain. The US government denied Area 51 even existed until 2013, when a Freedom of Information Act request forced the CIA to officially acknowledge it. The base tested aircraft ranging from the U-2 spy plane in the 1950s to the B-2 stealth bomber in the 1980s. The decades of denial fueled rumors of extraterrestrial research and crashed UFOs. The partial blurring on Google Maps continues that tradition of selective revelation, showing you just enough to keep you curious. And number 1, the location that best encapsulates the absurdity of digital censorship is Volkel Air Base in the Netherlands. For years, this NATO installation was one of the most heavily pixelated locations on Google Maps, almost completely obscured. The Netherlands used bold, multicolored polygons to hide not just Volkel, but palaces, fuel depots, and other military sites. In 2010, a diplomatic cable leaked by WikiLeaks confirmed what everyone already suspected. Volkel stores American nuclear weapons, specifically B-61 gravity bombs. 3 years later, a former Dutch prime minister publicly confirmed the presence of the nukes, calling them absolutely pointless. Google finally unblurred Volkel on September 14, 2016. But the story doesn't end there. The Netherlands stands out globally for individual privacy censorship. Dutch law gives citizens a robust right to request removal of their property from Street View, and tens of thousands have exercised it. The result is entire neighborhoods where a single blurred house sits among perfectly visible ones, arguably making those homes more identifiable, not less. And that is the fundamental paradox of censorship on Google Maps. The Malaysian government figured this out years ago and refused to request any blurring at all, reasoning that visibly censoring sensitive locations would simply confirm exactly which locations were sensitive. Every smudged pixel, every degraded image, every suspicious polygon is a confession. The blur doesn't hide the secret, it becomes the secret.